Should religion be taught in schools? Yes, yes, and yes again. You're probably thinking, religion doesn't belong in the classroom. I live in a secular society. I don't want someone preaching to my child, or worse, converting them to a different faith. So let me explain. Canadian classrooms are getting more and more diverse. There are more religious traditions represented than ever before. There are also more students who don't identify with any religion at all. We're becoming more aware of Indigenous spiritualities that have been historically suppressed. While all of this is taking place, religious literacy is at an all-time low. What does that mean? Essentially that people don't really know much about religion. Let me share with you a personal example. I was one of only 3 Muslim students at high school, and the guy sitting beside me in calculus thought I was a nun. I got questions about whether I wear my headscarf to sleep. It's not just me though. After 9/11, people targeted Sikhs wearing turbans. I guess the idea is that they're as strange looking as Muslims, so they must be one and the same. Many imams were forced to apologize for violence committed by terrorists. People didn't seem to realize that the Muslims all around them, the Muslim friends and neighbors and colleagues, weren't responsible for what extremists do. To complicate matters, even within religions, there's a great deal of confusion. People divide themselves into groups without really knowing what's on the other side. Think about Shiite and Sunni Muslims and the suspicion and hostility that exists between them in some parts of the world. Lack of awareness and understanding can create prejudice, hate, marginalization, sometimes even violence. Whether religion is part of the curriculum or not, people learn things about religion, and they learn about it right in the classroom. Because school doesn't exist in a bubble, schools are microcosms of the society in which they exist. A student will watch something on the news or see something in a movie and make jokes about it in the classroom or in the hallways. Ask Muslim kids how many of them get called raghead or Usama or even flat-out terrorist, and you'll know what I'm talking about. The problem is that these conversations are uninformed. Students don't have the critical skills to be able to tell how true they are. And teachers are not excused. If they don't make a real effort to develop religious literacy, they too unintentionally educate students about religion in ways that are uninformed and irresponsible. Now, there's a difference between learning about religion for the purpose of understanding and connecting and learning for the purpose of worship and devotion. Schools should teach, but they shouldn't preach religion. I'm calling for an education that allows students to develop a rich understanding of the various religious traditions. Students should come away recognizing the similarities and differences between religious traditions. What does God look like in every religion? Is God the same? What values are shared among religions? Which ones are distinct? And why does it seem like every religion has some variation on the golden rule? Students should be able to recognize Eastern religions and indigenous spirituality without using Christianity as a familiar reference point. Diwali, for example, isn't the Hindu version of Christmas. It can be understood and appreciated as a festival in its own right. Students should notice that there is a diversity of ideas and practices within traditions. They should learn that there are vast differences in the worldviews of one person or the other, even if they share the same faith. For example, not all Muslim women look alike. Some Muslim women wear the hijab, others don't. And clothing will look different depending on where people come from and their sense of style. Students should also learn that religious traditions aren't static, they evolve, they change over time and space. How Islam is practiced here in Canada is different than how it's practiced in Turkey, for instance. And how it's practiced right now is different than in Ottoman times. And students should come to understand that religion has played and continues to play a huge and important role in people's lives. Religion has had a profound effect on art, music, literature, history, science. It has shaped our thinking and permeated our culture. Religion affects people's relationship with the environment. It impacts economic systems. It motivates people to do good or commit evil. Religion affects the world. You may be thinking, this is pretty deep stuff. Even adults don't know this stuff. Why do we want to teach it to kids? Well, because we need more sophisticated public discourse about religion. And really, what better place to start than at school? We can, of course, tailor the information we're sharing depending on age. But in the end, we can't shield children from the difficult issues of our time. Rather, we can provide them with a safe space to think critically and make sense of the world, so they'll be equipped with the tools they need to transform themselves and the society around them. For smaller minority religions, ones that don't get much attention, I can assure you that including religion in public schools is a game changer. When I was in high school, Eid, an Islamic holiday, fell on a school day. It was also the day that a chemistry test was scheduled. I approached my teacher and asked if I could make up the test at a later date. He refused. I had to go to the vice principal to get help. That very teacher complained in class the next day about students getting Christmas as vacation, but wanting their religious holidays recognized by the school as well. If he'd only realized that the education system in Canada is based on Protestant modeling, he would have seen more clearly the challenges minorities face, rather than thinking, here they are, taking advantage of the system. Students from non-Christian religions have to advocate for themselves to celebrate their religious holidays. Christians have it entrenched in the school calendar. If we don't take the time to collectively learn about minority religions and include them, we marginalize students belonging to these traditions. Religiously motivated hate crimes are not going away, not just in Canada, but around the world. We need to do more collectively to engage and understand difference, if only to bring these numbers down. Religion can be included in the school curriculum in a number of ways. It can be incorporated into a discussion of literature, or a study of history, or an exploration of art. There will be times when including religion leads to discussions of difficult and contentious issues. But isn't that the case with everything important? We don't shy away from debates about climate change or racism and vaccines because they're messy. Why should we be afraid of talking about religion? Let me know what you think by email or drop a comment on YouTube. I'm Safiyyah Ally for Let the Quran Speak. If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe, and please donate to support our work at QuranSpeaks.com.